Yo, 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 what's good, everybody? We are in the building in this new comic book day, indie review time. What's good, Stu Dog, and my man Sever, the newest member of the crew. What's good, man?
Yo, what's up? What's going on with the audience out there, man? How you guys feeling?
Everybody's feeling good. I'm feeling good.
Feeling real good. Let's see, we got, we waiting for some people to start to filter in. We got somebody in here. Yo, and when y'all come in, say what's up in the chat. Let us know you're here, because we do like to do an interactive show, man. We like to, kick it with everybody and make sure everybody has a voice. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir, all the time.
So I've got the thumbnail and kind of the title and the banner is all about Masters of the Universe Revelation, because we talked about it when I saw it before anyone else saw it, and we gave our 2 cents, and then the thing has now come out, and now everyone else is seeing it, and the critics and everybody's having their point of views and everything. So I wanted to touch base on it again, talk about it kind of like an aftermath. You know what I mean?
Revelation to the revelation.
Right, a revelation of the revelation. Exactly. So we've all seen it.
Yeah.
And nobody's in the room, by the way. It's just us in here, but that's cool because people are gonna pop in. There's 2 now. So and this is also gonna be replayed. So we're still gonna rock it just like we got an audience and everybody's here. So what do y'all think? I mean, because y'all know my opinion, and I'll go over that again. But I want to hear from Sever. What do you feel about the He-Man? Because from your point of view, basically, because you're not an 80s kid, you didn't grow up on the show. It wasn't
95 live, baby. 95 live.
Right. So you have no previous sort of like
Well, actually,
bias.
sir, I did. I grew up watching
he had the second He-Man show. Yeah.
Yes, there was a second He-Man show, but I wasn't privy to that because I was working with the rabbit ears. I didn't grow up with cable.
Right.
So one of my aunts, she had the old school Hanna-Barbera He-Man joints that you guys grew up on, and I was educated through that just as well as I was educated with like Super Friends, Scooby-Doo, all those Hanna-Barbera joints, Smurfs, even though that wasn't Hanna-Barbera. What's the dude that was hopping around in the arcade game? Cubo, what's his name? Qbert. Yes, sir. Yes, Qbert. Yeah, I was educated on that. You know what I'm saying? So I grew up pretty much the same way. It was just a different era. You know what I'm saying?
He didn't catch it live on TV.
Word, exactly. Yeah, I had to get throwbacks. Either it was the VHS tape or it was the DVDs.
Yeah, and that's kind of how we did, Stu. Like with Nick at Night. Remember Nick at Night?
Yeah.
We used to watch some Nick at Night, and that was all the black and white shows. Hell yeah,
that was hard, bro. We used to watch that real hard.
Definitely.
And MTV had one too. What was the one MTV had at that time? Where they showed
throwback thing.
Nah, remember they used to show
Liquid Television.
Yes, Liquid Television.
Yeah.
That was that too.
Yeah, heavy.
Yeah, that
heavy.
That was before Adult Swim.
Right, that was the first Adult Swim. I be telling my son like all the cartoons, like the Ed and Eddies and SpongeBob and all of that stuff. That's all based on our shit. That Ren and Stimpy, Beavis and Butthead, where we had the first kind of gross out cartoons. Where it was all about showing graphic, crazy, gross shit.
Even the Max. Don't forget the Max.
Aeon Flux. Oh yeah, man. Like them was the hits, bro. So we got a few people in the room. Let us know who you are, man. Pop in the chat, say what's up to us, and we like to have an interactive feel. You know what I mean? So we're talking about Masters of the Universe, the Revelation, the Kevin Smith sort of reboot of He-Man. A lot of people were. All right, go ahead, Stu.
No, go ahead. I'm just.
Yo, I'll break the ice with this. So like. He-Man Revelations, well, it wasn't called He-Man Revelations, and I see why it wasn't.
Right.
It was called Masters of the Universe Revelations for a reason, because He-Man was not the focus of what should have been a film, but was chopped up into a Netflix series, basically, which I understand because a lot of consumers these days are very privy to binge watching shows, but it worked for me as an individual who enjoys sitting in the audience at a movie theater and kicking back for a couple of hours, even though, I was just standing there and just peeping it on my celly. So at the end of the day, it was Masters of the Universe. I did get to see, Tila. I got to see Orko come back, one of my favorites, as I always enjoyed his comedic relief. And Evil Lyn had a prominent role in the film. But one of my main issues with the show was the fact that it was focused with heavy feminist ideals.
You think so?
Yes, sir. To the point that, yes, even though Tila did not take the phallic symbol of He-Man's sword of power, with He-Man dying at the beginning of the film and then dying at the end of the film, and with this obviously being set up to steamroll another sequel, it's only a matter of time until Tila picks up that sword of power. And with every single male protagonist that wasn't just named Prince Adam dying in the vicinity of Tila, and her father, Man-at-Arms, at the beginning, handing her down the mantle and calling her Man-at-Arms, something smelled a little fishy.
I mean, okay.
Go ahead.
I completely saw it the other way, because that was the anticipation. That's what everybody thought it was going to be. But I didn't see them demasculating He-Man or making fun of guys or saying men can't do it without women, that kind of stuff. It wasn't like no woke woman shit going on. And yeah, He-Man died, but the focus was about He-Man, and the whole thing was we got to get our champion back. And no, Tila never did pick up the sword, said I have the power, which if it was a feminist woke agenda thing, damn well that would have been the first thing that went on.
They're saving it for the finale.
At the end, but the finale was Skeletor saying, I am the master of the universe.
Which I love. I gotta give it to Mark Hamill, as always. I gotta champion him on his vocal work and for his dedication to the community.
Yeah, Mark Hamill is a serious voice actor, bro. I had no idea how much shit he's done, bro, but he's been doing voice acting way heavier than his regular acting.
Yeah, he's like the male version of Cree Summer that Common was hitting for a time.
Yeah. Nah, Google Mark Hamill's voice acting, his stuff that he's done.
It's a long list. Yeah, it's a long list.
Long list.
Yeah.
But you have like everybody was thinking that it was gonna be that because Tila was the main character, but she wasn't diking out. Like she wasn't having no girlfriend. Like I don't know, it didn't end up being
her friend who was basically like her what is it? You know how Xena had that one chick that would follow her around and stuff like that, and then eventually they ended up having a lesbian relationship.
Well, we can't say what eventually is gonna happen because it didn't happen.
But I can see it evolving in the sequel.
You could see that, but what I think is gonna happen, because I think Kevin Smith is dealing with all of this shit right now, and he even says like the plan is to he's like just wait for season 2. You're gonna see, this is a He-Man. It is He-Man. So. And I think after all the backlash and speculation, he would be a damn fool to do anything else. I mean,
but Kevin Smith, you know what I mean? Mad respect to Kevin Smith, off tops, and what he's done for independent filmmakers, creators, and overall comic book heads. But at the end of the day, I feel like when he had his daughter, I think that he got a little soft. And that could be seen and evidenced in his comic book writing all the way back to a couple years ago when he was behind Hit Girl in Hollywood. And Hit Girl, being a character who created by John Romita Jr. and Mark Millar, is violent, turned up to the max, you know what I'm saying? In that kick-ass mythology, Kevin Smith instead decided to tell a story about Hit Girl giving justice to the shady little pedophilia shit that goes on in Hollywood, specifically around young females, as if to avenge and to protect young girls, which Kevin Smith would like to do for his daughter, even though his daughter is a grown woman. Fast forward to a year later when he drops the Jay and Silent Bob movie Part 2, And who does he have in the film? His daughter and his daughter's friend. And the whole thing is about him connecting with a daughter that he never knew he had in the film. But behind the scenes, obviously, it was just to give shine to his daughter and to show love. It's like everything that he does now is the focus of, of around his children. And me as a 26-year-old man, I don't have any children. So, because when you basically have children, from what I know, you basically give your life to your children after that. Like, it's over for your life. And I see that.
Slow down.
That's what I know. That's my observation.
Wait a minute, cowboy. Hold on now. We ain't like sacrifice. We might sacrifice for the children, or we might.
But Kevin Smith is sacrificing his art for his child.
Well, no, okay. So look, now here goes an analogy, right? Eddie Murphy is one of my favorite comedians of all time. You can't argue he's one of the best to ever do it, maybe the best. So, but in the 80s, it was raw, delirious. I mean, he was grimy. And then he starts doing Nutty Professor and, getting real kid-friendly with all this stuff since he had kids. His kids started to get to that age where they started to watch and see him on TV. And he's like, man, I don't want my kids to only see that nasty shit. Like, I want to do something that they can see and be proud of and watch and be a part of and all of that. And a lot of creators do that. And I felt as a young man when that shit started happening, I was like, man, nah, like, where's Eddie though, bro? Like, I still want them Eddie, that raw, you know what I mean? But
that was dope for me as a kid because I could look at him and Trek, and then like 5 years later, if I'm like 10 years old, I could go back and like watch Delirious or something, you know what I'm saying? And then just be like, oh, okay, so this is the real deal Eddie Murphy right here. Right. Oh, okay, now I understand what got him his name.
My son's 17, so he didn't know the Eddie Murphy I knew. He just knew,
the Professor.
Right, and all that since then, Dave and all that.
Daddy Daycare,
yeah. So I had to, now that he's old enough to watch the real Eddie Murphy, I had to school him. And like you said, now he understands why I'm such a fan.
In his defense, though, Onyx. Remember when Onyx first came out? They dropped the first album, and then the second album, it was 4 members.
Yeah.
And then it dropped down to 3. Oh, it was 4, well, 5 because they had the DJ on the cover too. But remember, it was 4. It was 4 rappers, and the second album comes. Now you got 3, and the one that dropped out was the light skinned guy, Big DS. I watched an interview where he said that I didn't read one back then, but he said they asked him why. They was like, "Yo, like y'all have one of the hottest hip hop albums of the year." Probably the hottest hip hop album of that year. Y'all had the buzz of the year. Like Onyx came out the door slamming. Like Slam was the perfect name for what they had TV shows. No rappers did that coming out the box. They was everywhere.
Right.
Guest appearance TV. They was on Moesha, all of that.
Right.
So they asked Big DS, they was like, yo, well, why'd you just like dropped off the scene? And he said, well, look. He said, I had kids. And he said, by the time that second album came out, they was old enough to see. He said, I didn't really want them to see me like that, all that. So he said, so I bowed out gracefully.
Yeah, a lot of artists do it.
Yeah, he said,
a lot of artists.
Yeah, he said, my kids were getting older. I didn't want them to go back and see videos of me, And I was like, wow, that's crazy. But as far as I was on Kevin Smith's Twitter feed and everybody was going at him hard.
Yeah, he's dealing with a lot.
He said he finally said, I got it right here, that he admits that this first show or season was not about He-Man.
Right.
And he said that he should have named it something else appropriately.
I think it was a perfect
He-Man.
in his defense.
No, but remember that first Godzilla movie? Remember that first Godzilla movie we saw? And Godzilla was in the movie literally 12 minutes. You can YouTube it. It's literally 12 minutes of Godzilla. The rest is just the people. It shouldn't have been called Godzilla because it wasn't even about Godzilla. And people were so outraged about it that every movie since has had Godzilla throughout the whole movie.
All through it.
Yeah. The comedic thing about that, though, was that was the best out of the 3 because that one actually had some real story behind it. The other 2 were just too focused on trying to bring kid-friendly audiences, bringing families in and sitting more butts in seats. Because if you just have one head, you know what I'm saying, like a single man like myself who's in there for the story and everything like that, that's one head. If you bring enough to where you could get a whole family to sit there, that's 4, 6, 7 heads, whatever. You know what I'm saying? That's growth.
And that's Hollywood.
So of course, the stations are going to want to program to get more audiences into seats. They're not going to be worried about a single man. You know what I'm saying?
As someone who appreciates story, that's, you know, with Masters of the Universe, this is easily the first He-Man with real stakes, real drama, real deaths, parents losing their kids. Like, it got deep. Like, it was some heavy shit.
Been called that. Now, if it would have been Masters of the Universe first season, let's say it was Masters of the Universe Revelation. Boom.
That's what it's called.
We'd have been, but it's like, it's He-Man.
No, it's called Masters of the Universe Revelation.
Really, like Tila
He-Man's name ain't in it.
But He-Man, that's what I'm saying. If it's called Masters of the Universe Revelation and you don't show He-Man, and
they did though,
right?
But they showed the shit out of He-Man, like he's in.
They just let him, but they let him die. Repeat.
Let's say you flashbacks. Let's say you do a flashback. That would be more appropriate. And then the second season, you can debut He-Man and do everything you got to do.
The second season could be called He-Man in the Masters of the Universe.
I don't think that's going to happen.
That would be more appropriate. But on this one, I'm not going to say it was bad. It was real good. I'm not going to say it was bad. But what I'm going to say is this, is that when you come from where me and Reno watched He-Man, and you go back, and you too, Severin, when you watch those old ones, and this one, the heroes did a lot of crying. They did a lot of feeling sorry for themselves. Even the villains. On the original show, the heroes never felt sorry for themselves. They always did whatever they had to do, overcame all obstacles and odds, and they always, you know, put their back to the wind, strapped their boots up, and did what they had to do, no matter how hard it was. You know what I mean? And this one, it was like the opposite. It was like
example,
right?
That's because it was more grounded in reality. Because with the Hanna-Barbera series, that had more whimsy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was
geared for children. So of course, if it's geared for children, you're going to still have a level of creativity and fantastical imagination in your head while you're going to school and getting that shit indoctrinated out. You know what I'm saying? So you're still going to be, so while you still have that imagination in your head, which is very powerful, you're going to be able to connect with that Hanna-Barbera whimsy and believe that that shit is true and believe that you could have your back to the wind and not care about any obstacles in your path. When you become an adult, and since this show is geared towards adults who are in their late 30s or early 40s, by now life has already crushed you. Your imagination, is done. You know what I'm saying? And you have the weight of the world on your shoulders on some Atlas shit. So there you go. So this show is meant for them, because I bet you a lot of individuals who are in their late 30s or early 40s who know about He-Man and grew up on the Hanna-Barbera shit, they're not doing what we are collectively doing right now. They probably don't even have the means to do this. You know what I'm saying? So they probably feeling sorry for themselves, watching this shit themselves. Got, wife shacked up with somebody who doesn't even know about the Hanna-Barbera He-Man or isn't even interested. You know what I'm saying? So they can relate to that now instead of relating to the imagination that got crushed out when they were a kid watching it.
That'd be Filmation. Filmation did the He-Man cartoon. They were the ones that did defeat the He-Man cartoon.
Yeah.
You talking about the dudes who do like My Hero Academia?
Yeah. Well, that's Funimation.
Yeah, that's them.
That's Funimation.
Yeah, that's Funimation. Filmation.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like an anime joint. Like, well,
no, that was the name.
He-Man was Mattel.
You had Hanna-Barbera, Filmation. You know what I mean? You got a different.
He-Man wasn't Hanna-Barbera. He wasn't one of those.
No, he wasn't Hanna-Barbera.
Filmation had like the Polaroid logo, right? It was like
it was like that. It would be like the letters, the colorful letters that would go across the screen, and then it would be like ding, it'd be like ding. Yeah. So I mean, they did Bill Cosby. They did the Bill Cosby show.
What, like Fat Albert?
Yeah, they did Bill Cosby, the Kids Superpower Hour with Shazam.
Yeah.
Remember they had the Shazam joint with Bill Cosby. They did Space Academy. They did Captain Marvel, Ghostbusters. And they did the live action show. Remember the live action show Shazam and ISIS, Mighty ISIS?
Mm-mm.
You don't remember that?
No.
Did it come on Saturdays?
Nah.
What? Am I the only one? Am I the only one in here that watched that, man?
Live action
Was this before DC took over the Captain Marvel properties?
This was after. It was just Filmation was the one. It was a live action show, so it wasn't really animation, but it was a live action show. I guess they did the special effects for it, and they did have a Shazam cartoon. They did have a straight up Shazam cartoon, but
I'm curious. Since you mentioned Ghostbusters, do you remember Extreme Ghostbusters in the 90s?
I remember that. I remember Extreme.
Okay, cool. You remember? Okay, no.
I remember that. I remember Extreme Ghostbusters. You had the real Ghostbusters. Oh, yeah. You had Ghostbusters, and then you had Extreme Ghostbusters Extreme, or it was Ghostbusters Extreme or Extreme Ghostbusters. I remember that one. Yeah.
They had old girl. What was her name? I made a song about her on the Baker's Dozen tape. If y'all want to check that out, cvrthebar.bandcamp.com. You know what I'm saying? A lot of comic book themed lyrics on there. You know what I'm saying? Talking about a lot of real truths and realism. So peep that. You know what I'm saying? Shameless plug.
Absolutely. Hip hop and comics, man. That's what we do.
Yeah, because because Filmation, they did I think they did Tarzan. There was a Tarzan cartoon they did. There's a bunch of joints. They're not. A lot of this stuff didn't survive because I never see it on DVD or anything. You do get He-Man because that was probably their most profitable and popular cartoon they had ever put out, besides Ghostbusters.
Yeah, no, He-Man. Yeah, He-Man was iconic, man. That was.
Yeah, it was. And if you ever watch the Netflix series, The Toys That Made Us, they said when they came out with He-Man, they didn't have a cartoon. They went in there. Yeah, they said they went in there and BS their way through for a deal, for a toy deal and a TV.
It was all about the toys. I mean, all the 80s cartoons were about toys. Transformers, that was a toy. G.I. Joe.
They had the toy, but they didn't have a show. They was like, oh, you got a show to go with it? And the guys said, we were like, yeah, we got one. So So they had nothing.
And they had a comic book.
They had a comic book. Yeah. Where the comics come with each figure. Yeah, because I have let me see. Because I'm a big WWE head as well too. I love pro wrestling. So that, like I was saying on the previous episode about Mr. T being a Masters of the WWE Universe character, they had Stephanie McMahon joint, and they had her basically fused with Eva Lynn, and then they fused Skeletor with like Triple H. So I got the Eva Lynn joint, and it came with a little 8-page comic book and everything like that. I'm like, yo, this is like straight throwback from the 80s. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where so it's like super ill. Like I like the detail that they do. The only issue that I have with those figures though is the fact that it lacks articulation. Whereas you would get like a better look with like a Marvel Legends or with the new McFarlane DC multiverse joints. You know what I'm saying? But it's still dope to just to like have the accessories and stuff and throw it up. It's ill. Especially because like I used to collect really heavy, but then as time progressed, I started to like minimalize everything, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you have to.
I'm in my 20s right now, I'm out of the age to be collecting. Right now I'm supposed to be eating shit, you know what I'm saying? So
after a while, you start collecting. You be like, man, listen, I got too
much. What you got over there, man?
Is that the comic? Is that the comic?
Yeah, so here's the indie comic that goes with
the Kevin Smith joint.
Revelation, right. It says the original prequel to the upcoming Netflix animated series. So this dropped first, and you were intended to read it before the show because it's a prequel. And the comic is it's all He-Man. They talk about his grandfather, the black dude that's now his grandfather's his ancestor.
Not Hero, but a Grayskull.
With dreads, a Grayskull. And so I mean, I guess He-Man is mixed.
Now, why we didn't get that? Why we just didn't get that for the what you call it, for the Revelations, for the Netflix joint? Why just do the comic?
I know, bro. This shit was crucial.
Well, I read the book, and to be honest, the art was amazing, and the story, it felt, because I listened, I fuck with Kevin Smith heavy, you know what I mean? I really respect the man's work. And he was discussing about how his father passed and how his father basically introduced him to a lot of the, you know what I mean? Like he passed down the lineage of this like nerdom basically to an extent, you know what I mean? But he was still a father to him, you know what I'm saying? But he really enjoyed how like he'd go to a movie with his pops and see the child in his father, you know what I'm saying? And that book dealt with a lot of He-Man looking at his paternal, you know what I mean, his lineage, and how his father doesn't really look up, you know what I mean, he doesn't really respect Adam too much, but it kind of just felt like as if Adam's father knew that he was He-Man, but he didn't want to tell him or something. So when I watched the show and then Adam dies and then his pops is like, he banishes Man-at-Arms because he never told him that he was He-Man, I'm like, what? Like I read this prequel and it looked for certain that the king knew that the prince was He-Man. Like it was an honor that was bestowed every single generation. But it looks like that power of Grayskull skips generations.
Yeah, because the king don't have it. It was it goes from his grandfather to He-Man, but
it's his Skeletor, his dude's uncle. You know what I'm saying? Like again, like at the end when he gets the sword, I'm like, good, he's the rightful owner. Because when I look at the situation between Keldor and Prince Adam's pops, it's kind of the same like with Darkseid and Highfather, going all the way back to if you want to use Judeo-Christian mythology with Cain and Abel. You know what I'm saying? It's like one person deserves it more, but if it skipped a generation in this story, then damn straight Keldor deserves that sword. It shouldn't have went to Adam. Just on DP.
Well, they said okay, so yeah, it has.
Maybe Keldor did have it.
It's got He-Man. It's got Prince Adam here learning from his pops about the sword, right? That's the king, and Prince Adam talking, and then it kind of flashes back to when the king was a kid, and the grandfather is teaching him the same stuff about the sword. So it is definitely like a father-son. You know,
but it seems like it skips generations. So I'm curious if Adam's grandfather had the power of Grayskull then.
Yeah, bro. Look, that's
there he is. Yeah,
that's his great. Okay, so Keldor originally, Skeletor Keldor, he originally should have got that sword because that if Adam's father was not able to handle it, then the sword belonged to Skeletor in the first place. So now I'm even more empowered to say, you know, hats off to Skeletor at the end of the film, man. He deserves that shit.
So wait, who is Skeletor to them?
That's He-Man's uncle.
Word.
There's a book that well, if you look at the
in this comic that happened, it tells you that?
No, sir. It's actually in the DC Comics joint that came out. They had Masters of the Universe versus Injustice. And then there's a sequel to that where He-Man goes. This is where I first figured out of like Hero, and they had like a fifth dimension, like Imp He-Man and everything like that. And he was going around and basically with a bunch of other He-Mans from other, like a multiverse of He-Man. And then Keldor was there, but he was from the past before he went up against his brother, who is Prince Adam's father. So that's his uncle.
Okay. So and I don't know if that follows.
And that also ties into Judeo-Christian mythology as well too, with King David, Solomon, and King David's uncle, who wanted to like get the power from like his nephew David and all that. Yeah, so it ties in a lot with that mythology as well too.
Yeah, you got a point there.
I mean,
maybe the writer was Christian. I don't know.
Yeah, man. I mean, well, look,
George Lucas has a heavy influence on a lot of
all storytelling, especially like fantasy. Anything fantasy, like from Lord of the Rings to Star Wars to Game of Thrones. Like it's all based on either Greek mythology, Roman mythology, Christianity. All those religious myths. Because that's what we know of as like that's our ancient history or whatever. You know what I mean?
Those are the original superhero tales right there. Like when I was a kid,
Iliad,
I wasn't paid Word. I wasn't paying attention to those Sunday school, and then the Sunday school teacher, she wanted to slip me a Superman comic book, and that's how I learned all about resurrection and like sun deities and things of that nature. Because I got the Superman book while I was over there like in the Sunday school, so I was like, okay, cool.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Sumerian, like Conan the Sumerian is like a Sumerian.
The Sumerian word because it's spelled with a C.
Yeah, they changed the spelling Sumerian, but it's Sumerian.
Right.
And yeah, and like the sun gods and all of that, ancient Egypt, Mesopotamia, all of that. So we always get those influences. Now, all right. So speaking of comics, this is New Comic Book Day Indie Review. And I don't know if you guys have read any of these, but I just want to talk briefly about some of these new indie joints that are coming out right now. Basilisk. If y'all, we did review Basilisk before on this channel, but this is number 2 that just dropped. And this is a phenomenal cover right here.
Yeah, Basilisk, I like.
Basilisk is dope. Who can stop the Chimera? 5 individuals bound by a cult-like hive mind. They terrorize small towns with their horrifying supernatural sense-based powers, leaving death and destruction in their wake. Reagan, one of the Chimera, escaped and has been in hiding, and her murderous eyes bound, overcome with guilt, until now, when a victim from her past forces her to hunt down the other 4 of her kind. Mm-hmm. And this is like it's turning out to be a really dope comic, and a dope story altogether. Basilisk from Boom Studios. It's Cullen Bunn, so you can't, Cullen Bunn is like a dope horror writer. I'm sure, like just a dope writer, period. But he does like a lot of cool horror comics and stuff like that. So
I think I heard of him up in the Sandman universe.
Cullen Bunn?
Yeah,
Cullen Bunn is dope. Look him up. Cullen, not Colin. Cullen Bunn.
Fallen Skies. And Fallen Skies was good. That was a good comic.
Definitely.
And they made
y'all probably saw this on Netflix. Sweet
Tooth. Yeah.
Right? They had a Netflix series
by Jeff Lemire.
Yeah, Lemire, bro.
What they got? They got the Return. You got the Return joint?
So, well, this is from the original series. This is Sweet Tooth from Vertigo Comics, number 11, and the original joint. Sorry about these price tags on here. I sell comics on auctions on Instagram. So yeah, check me out on Instagram too.
Instagram, Mr.
Y'all can find me at 6th_element_comics. 6th Element Comics on Instagram. I'll do live auctions usually every night. I try to get on there, and so I sell all this stuff. So it's all for sale.
People got glow in the dark books, but dude over here, he got it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so definitely check that out.
Yep. And Sweet Tooth. So it's now a Netflix original series. It's like the human race has reached its darkest hour, and in the 7 years since the affliction first appeared, billions have died. All the children born since the plague are a strange new race of animal-human hybrids. So like this dude's like a deer human, right? He's got the antlers and the deer ears and all of that. But there's every kind of animal you could think of. There's armadillo kids and raccoon kids, and like all kind of animal-human hybrids.
Is there a hummingbird kid?
There might be. There is definitely a bird kid. So I don't know. There's all kind of any animal, bro. Like
I'm
frog,
saying, I want to be a hummingbird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to be a hummingbird.
One of the few remaining humans, a drifter named Jeopard, has formed a bond with one such child, a sweet deer-like boy called Gus. But even among the hybrid children, Gus is an anomaly, seemingly born before the sickness began. Because after this big plague happened, that's when all the kids started being born as an animal hybrid of some type. But before the plague, obviously that had never been seen before, but this kid was born before the plague, so he's one of a kind. Believing that Gus's history might be the key to the plague's origins, Jeopard and the boy will journey north together to Alaska in the hope that they can that if they can uncover the story of his birth, it will lead them to a cure for the sickness. But the troubling question remains: if Gus isn't a product of the affliction, what was he its cause? Written and illustrated by Jeff Lemire. Sweet Tooth is an exploration of kindness and cruelty in a dangerous post-apocalyptic world. Sweet Tooth Book 2 collects issues 13 through 35. Okay, now that's talking about a graphic novel. But this is
if anybody knows, because this is a hip hop channel and everything, Gepard and Gus's relationship is kind of akin to Bun B and Pimp C. You know what I'm saying? So like that right over there, you're gonna just really enjoy it. You know, if you're a UGK fan, because you got like you got the dude who, they just even each other out. You know what I mean? Like Gepard is like this big dude. You know what I'm saying? And he comes through kind of like with a baritone, and he's always on a protectorate level. But then Gus, at the same time, always seems to find some way, even with the antlers on his head, to pull himself a female that always comes along for the ride, especially in the return. So, if you're a UGK fan, I definitely would recommend Sweet Tooth right there. You're going to love it.
That's an interesting, that's an interesting connection. Yeah, correlation there. Because you're right. And hip hop and comics always influence each other. Now this right here is Sweet Tooth: The Return. That's what you're talking about, and it's like volume 2. And this one is not on Vertigo; it's on DC Black Label.
Yeah, because Vertigo Karen Berger left.
Right, and we've got on the Instagram channel we will have Sweet Tooth 1, 2, 3, and 5 available. All right, so this next one that just dropped, this is a really hot joint. This has been blowing up recently. Bitter Root. It's and this is number 14. It's called Legacy, Part 4. The Sangiri family has faced many challenges over the years, but none as deadly as the evil they must now confront. With Dr. Sylvester by their side, the Sangiris prepare to make a final stand, but can Sylvester be trusted? Bitter Root number 14 is introspective as we reach the point where there are more and different monsters and people are just learning how to combat them. The action starts in the past in 1919 when Enoch loses much of his family to Jinno and starts to wonder whether there's more than the Jinno out there. So I have not read this. That's why I kind of was fumbling on the words there. I don't really know what they're talking about or what it's about. I haven't gotten this far. Like I'm on like issue 2, and so far it's dope.
Okay. I've slept on it as well too. So you're not alone.
Yeah, it definitely kind of fell through the cracks. One of the ones that I missed, but is super hot. Like people constantly asking for it. And this is one of the more rare variant covers too, right here. I've got that one in cover A.
Who did the cover?
Good question. They didn't sign it, so I don't know.
Where
it's but I think it's like a secret variant or something like that.
Oh wow. That's a new one.
This is one of my favorite covers of the series. Something is Killing the Children. Let me blow this up for y'all. Reminds me of some Hannibal Lecter. I don't know, something,
Yeah.
It just reminds me.
I like that cover. Yeah, that does.
Yo, you seen the New Mutants joints? You guys seen that joint?
The New Mutants?
Yeah, the film.
Yeah.
The film? No, I didn't see it. I watched a little bit of it. I didn't finish watching it. It was all right. It wasn't as bad as everybody gave it, put it out to be.
Towards the end of the film, Marilyn Manson actually portrays a character that looks a lot like that cover. Word.
Yeah, man. This is Something is Killing the Children. Number 18 is a reminder of why I fell in love with the series. When Boom Studios revealed the cover for this issue, I knew it was going to be a good storyline and dark illustrations. As always, as you flip through the page, we're introduced to one of the dopest looking characters, Big Gary Slaughter, who I hope will be sticking around for a while. The dark illustrations, which we have become accustomed to with Something is Killing the Children, and a mysterious ending makes you want to pick up the next issue as soon as it hits the shelves. And Erica's large green eyes will suck you into the story. Hella good comic so far. Like, it's one of my favorite indies that's out right now. Something is Killing the Children. We only find them when they're dead.
That's good. That's good.
My shit.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yo, respect to Fat T. I'm waiting to, hop on this book off tops. He's over there, he's gonna slide me an issue and everything. So I'm waiting to get on it. Because usually I don't really like coming into books when it's like, and it has a high issue count. And I'm coming into the middle. But this, you know what I mean? I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, a lot of these joints that I'm showing today are very low. Like usually under 20. And some of them are even, smaller than that. Some of them are only on issue 2. This is another secret variant cover. I don't know why they call them a hidden variant or secret variant per se. I haven't quite figured what that means yet. But it's called Crossover, and it's Donny Cates, who y'all probably know is the guy writing Venom and killing it right now. And this is just like a Spawn cover, but it's not a Spawn comic. A flat out fantastic read. Scott Snyder, the creative powerhouses behind the best-selling, critically acclaimed God Country, Thanos Wins, and Redneck Returns for the biggest launch of the year. Imagine everything you thought was fantasy was real. And now join us in a world where reality is dead and anything is possible. Kids Love Chains Part 3, monsters and robots falling from the sky, mysterious and familiar, superheroes joining our intrepid gang on their journey to event Ground Zero. Crossover continues with the series' most explosive and shocking issue to date. Don't miss this one, folks. If you do, it just might drive you mad.
Well, so the hidden gem variants, Reno, are covers that are used from an artist's previous artwork for another cover.
It's like an homage variant.
No, it's an incentive ratio covers that use an artist's previous art for the cover. So whoever drew that cover, they drew Spawn before. They drew Spawn, and then they used.
Well, no, this is a McFarlane cover. This is McFarlane all day. Check him out.
Word.
But he doesn't. But you rarely see him do the covers anymore.
No, he's doing a lot of covers on Spawn.
So that had to be something that he did before, or something he worked on before, and that's why they did that cover.
Maybe they took his Spawn image, because the picture of him is more like kind of, I don't want to say pixelated, but it's got it's made of like little dots, like it's like a newspaper print, and then the girl sitting here is just more line print, but you can't really see it.
So perhaps it's penciled in.
What's the name of the book she reads? What's the name of the book that she's reading?
Well, she's reading Crossover #1, which is right here. So I do have #3, and this is another one of the. I think this is also a secret variant. It's hidden variant or secret variant as well.
Hidden variant.
Yeah. #1 right there.
That's a fire series off tops, for y'all looking out there. Like, I recommend it if you guys like Chip Zdarsky. In the latest issue that they just had, Zdarsky actually starred in the comic and ended up taking on his alter ego that's like his on-screen personality. And they went about, on an interesting car ride. So I highly recommend Crossover. It's an ill series. Been with it since issue 1.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely gonna check it.
So you guys know that I interviewed with Al Mega, Comic Crusaders. Salute to Al Mega, and we interviewed Ed Pisker, who is Ed Piskor is how he pronounces it, is the guy that wrote Hip Hop Family Tree, which is the comic version of the history of hip hop, and like he gets in detail to from Kool Herc to Grandmaster Flash. Like he goes through all through Melly Mel, and then up through Ice Cube, Public Enemy. He covers the whole thing in such a descriptive and dope way, man. And it's called Hip Hop Family Tree. So definitely a hip hop and comics icon right there. And he's written a new comic called Red Room. The first issue of Red Room, which is what we were, interviewing him about, promoting, it's 64 pages, and all his Red Room comics are self-contained issues. So you won't have to read part 1 to know what's going on in 2, and you don't have to see part 3 to see how part 2 ends. They're completely self-contained issues. So you can read 1 from beginning to end, and you've read a complete story. The same thing with, every issue. That's how he's going to be doing this particular series, which is dope. And it says, C, murder on the dark web for fun and profit. C, rivers of gore. C, illegal acts of pornography and degradation live on webcam. So basically it's like a what's a good Instagram or YouTube or something like that for like snuff, like murder, like murder, live murders, and there's like these killers
like
that
Hostel,
like a hostile type thing, right? But like online, and people go on and they chat and whatever.
Check it out, right?
Yeah, the internet urban legend is true. Introducing Poker Face. He's another one of the killers. Answers revealed. Where do the torture stars find their victims? A complete terror tale in every issue. The antisocial network Red Room.
Pisker's name definitely rings bells over the past couple of years. So, that's definitely a title I'll be sure to check out. That's ill.
Oh yeah,
I like that
Pisker
cover.
Yeah, this is my favorite cover right here. He did one for this which is an homage to a Wolverine cover, which is cool. I don't have that variant, but yeah, this cat is dope. I like this one. And Ed Pisker continues to dream up new ways in which to maim and mutilate for profit in Red Room #2. If you pick up the first issue, you'll know what you're in for, you sick little puppy. A gory mix of torture, porn, and social commentary, all done with an art style evocative of underground comics and Rick Vitek and his more beautifully horrific, and I think that's a typo, and all produced in sepia tinted paper and black and white art to add an extra layer of grim grittiness and indie charm. It's clearly a very labor of love for Pisker that will not necessarily win him any new readers, for sure. That's for sure. Even though the story within these pages is packed with more emotive impact than you would find, or than you would first think. But a comic like this is always going to be a niche sell. Working against his will to revive patients, only for them to be callously killed online for the enjoyment of anyone willing to pay the price on the dark web and Bitcoin. Dr. Daniels is given a weekly update on his family via a secret filmed video diary. His only ray of sunlight in an ever darkening world cannot escape. But given the nature of this series, even that ray is soon snuffed out. This is a rotten world Pisker has created, yet I found myself sympathizing and shuddering more for Daniels than any recent character in any mainstream comic. But then horror can do that to you when it's done well, as this title illustrates. Pisker is certainly taking chances with this one, but the payoff is well worth it for those of us with the stomach to take such graphic storytelling. Not as meaty as an issue as the first oversized gore fest, but maybe that's not a bad thing considering the subject matter. If you enjoyed Eli Roth's Green Inferno, you'll dig this.
And Eli Roth also directed Hostel.
Right.
Yeah, so that's right up his alley.
Yep. Have you guys heard of Abbott?
No.
The
only Abbott I know is the RZA.
Yeah.
Right, that's what drew me to this.
Oh, you mean that? Yeah, I seen that in the when I was in the comic book store. I was gonna pick it up, but I didn't know if it was.
Well, it's Hugo award-winning nominated novelist Saladin Ahmed, who did Black Bolt, and artist Sami Kavilia, who did Beautiful Canvas, present one woman's search for the truth that destroyed her family. Hard-nosed, chain-smoking tabloid reporter Elena Abbott investigates a series of grisly crimes that the police have ignored. Crimes she knows to be the work of a dark occult forces that took her husband from her, forces she has sworn to destroy. So, a really cool black woman main character hero, and it takes place in like 1973. So it's just hella cool.
It sounds like a blaxploitation version of Alias. Bendis's Alias mixed with supernatural mysticism on top of it. So if anybody's seen like Jessica Jones, which the series which was based off of the Alias Bendis book, there you go.
Right. And I mean, I definitely wouldn't call it blaxploitation. Because blaxploitation has certain connotations and it's a certain sort of, you know what I mean? But yo, Grab Love in the house. What's good, brother?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man.
Clear, brother.
Okay, peace and blessings. Who's that with the Russian mask? I can't even see.
Yo, what's good, sir? It's Seven. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Oh, wow. I'm trying to turn the screen so I can see you. That's kind of dope, man. That's kind of crazy.
Appreciate you, sir.
No doubt. Salute. What's good though, fellas? Y'all all right? I'm just getting
man.
myself together.
We were just talking about Abbott. Have you heard of Abbott?
Nah. What is that?
It's about a black woman who
sounds like a private investigator.
Yeah, she's like she's an investigative reporter. You know, hard-nosed, chain-smoking tabloid reporter Eleanor Abbott investigates a series of grisly crimes that the police have ignored. Crimes she knows to be the work of dark occult forces that took her husband from her, forces she's sworn to destroy.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That sounds
crazy. It is. It just came out.
So why would you say when it's based in 73, from what I'm getting, why would you say it doesn't sound like a blaxploitation flick?
Because blaxploitation wasn't very flattering for black people. Am I right? Am I right?
That's real. That's
real. A lot of blaxploitation flicks, they were dope.
I mean, some of them were.
Yes,
but a lot of them weren't.
Yeah, a lot of them. Yeah, it just portrayed us as pimps.
Yeah, expand on this, y'all. Like y'all talking.
But it's hella entertaining, like a Korean flick, Switchblade Sisters. You know what I'm saying? Like this, it has like that pulp feel, and then at the same time, it has that camp. Like even we were talking about Eddie Murphy previously, and the film that you know, he based off himself off Rudy Moore of Dolomite. Like Dolomite's funny to look at to an extent. Like ODB got it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, the reason that I said that is because, like I said, it's not always flattering. Like Stu said,
there were elements of ignorance in those films. Over exexaggerated hyper masculinity.
Yeah.
But that's like gangster rap. I still doesn't like that.
All day in the paint, you know what I mean? But you know, I skewed for lesser for. You know, for me not finding a better term to say, it was like super nigga syndrome.
Yeah.
But it's like gangster rap.
Yeah.
You know, no one doesn't like putting in Get Rich or Die Trying.
Hey, I'm not saying that it's not. I'm not saying that it's not. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it is art. It's a form of art. But what I think is what I think Reno's trying to get to with this comic book is that it probably was more cerebral than your average black exploitation, because it's set in 73. You would expect those type of elements to be there.
Right. It was really big.
But what I'm gaining from what he just read is that it's more cerebral than your average black exploitation situation, which took place in the same time period.
And so what I mean is it's not.
So I think
but it's not like pimped out. Yeah, it's not like every black dude is not a pimp. And every female's not a hooker.
For the time period, it wasn't a lot of stereotypical things going on in that book.
This is more like what the black community was actually like in the 70s versus what blaxploitation portrayed it to be like. Yes. You see what I'm saying?
Okay, I understand, gentlemen.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Word.
Yeah. But a very dope comic. I love the era. Like I love 70s, stories and all of that. So I think it's a really great read so far. So definitely check out Abbott. I think they're on, I don't know what number it's up to now. This is number 1. Like I said, man, this is all available on Instagram, on my auctions tonight, every night. And another one, this is called Eve. This is another indie comic that is really blowing up right now, and it's like a post-apocalyptic, I guess. When the ice caps melted, most of humanity was lost to the hidden disease that was released from the melting ice. Now a mysterious girl named Eve has awoken in secret and must deal with a world that's nothing like the virtual reality she was raised in. In order to save her father, Eve.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I was just going to say, it's not a coincidence her name is Eve.
Right. Exactly. And
they're talking about the beginning of a new civilization right there.
All right.
So it's no coincidence her name is Eve.
And Teddy Ruxpin that she has with her?
That is
Teddy Ruxpin, though?
I mean, he kind of looked like he's like Teddy Ruxpin in that he's alive. You see, he looked like. So in order to save her father, Eve must embark on a deadly quest across the country, but she has no idea of the threats that await her or the price she'll pay to restore life to a dying planet. Victor LaValle is the author of 7 works of fiction, including The Ballad of Black Tom, which was a finalist for a Nebula Award and a Hugo Award, a Bram Stoker Award, and a Theodore Sturgeon Award. His latest novel, The Changeling, was released in June 2017. His other books have won American Book Award, the Shirley Jackson Award, and the Guggenheim Fellowship, and the Key to Southeast Queens. LaValle is also the writer of the acclaimed comic book series Victor LaValle's Destroyer with Boom Studios. He teaches at Columbia University and lives in New York City with his wife and kids. What kind of planet are we leaving to our kids? This is the question that spawned my comic book. It's an old one, of course. This is a quote from him. It's an old one, of course. Many generations have wrestled with it, but the question has never been as immediate, said LaValle. But I didn't want to write some grim story about how this joint went to hell. Instead, I wanted to write a story about how we let the planet fall apart and left it to the younger generations to fix it. So this is a story inspired by young folks like Mari Kapeni, Elsa Mengitsu, Greta Thunberg, and many more, of how an 11-year-old girl, Eve, and her android teddy bear, like Teddy Ruxpin, tried to do the seemingly impossible: save the planet, save us. Jo Mai-gyong is a comic artist and illustrator based out of Seoul, Korea, best known for her work on Jim Henson's The Dark Crystal, Age of Resistance for Boom Studios, and the original comic book series Beastlands. She said a new kind of apocalyptic landscape awaits our hero Eve and her strange teddy bear in this new world full of weird and the unthinkable, said Mai-gyong. I had a lot of fun illustrating this fascinating world that Victor built, and I can't wait to show you all a future beyond your wildest dreams. This is Eve number 1. I think they're on number 2, if I'm not mistaken. Eve number 1 features main cover art by Ario and Anedito, who did Star Wars High Republic, with variant covers by Yuko Shimizu. Victor is a visionary.
Is that a Valiant book? Is that published on Valiant?
Boom Studio.
Yeah. Boom. Boom's been killing it.
Boom is killing it.
They're killing it right now.
They came out with that Empty Man movie. Fire.
Yeah.
I'm still with Marvel and DC, man. I creep a little bit into Image here and there.
Yeah.
I'm still learning, man. Still learning.
That's why I wanted to do this show on Wednesdays, to talk about the indie stuff, because everyone knows Marvel and DC and everyone talks about Marvel and DC on YouTube, but no one, not a lot of people are giving a lot of light to the indie joints. Right. And the indie joints, man, this is where it's at. If you want like good writing, real good stories and all of that.
I don't know if I ever showed you a book I had. It's called Blockheads.
You did.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the rest of them.
Okay.
I cannot find them.
Do you know what's the publisher?
Oh,
like what is it? Is it? It's not Marvel or DC, right?
No, it's not.
All right. Let me I'm gonna look out for that for you. I'm gonna find them for you.
Might have something for you right now. You said it's called Blockheads.
Yeah, that's the one about the crack dealer.
Huh?
That's the one about the guy that goes after crack dealers or something.
I think so. I think it's either that or it's like a hood joint, but
I thought, because when you showed it to us, you told me a little bit about it. I thought that's what it was. That was when we did the show with Ali. I think that show, and then you came on, I think. While he's looking for that, this is called You Promised Me Darkness by Behemoth Comics, which is another, like, I'm steady seeing Behemoth titles that I really want to read and get into. Like, I'm just reading the premise of them and stuff, and like Behemoth is looking like they're doing some really dope shit that that I would love. And this comic right now is wildly popular. This is You Promised Me Darkness #1. Approximately every 75 years, Halley's Comet orbits around the sun, and every time this happens, people around the world are born with incredible abilities, special auras. Hang on 1 second. Shit. Where's that at? Special auras that grant them with supernatural skills, but also auras those auras can also be cursed. Yuko and Sebastian, two siblings with special auras, are constantly running from the evil being known as Anti-Everything, who feeds from special auras, getting stronger with each intake. This being is obsessed with these brothers' auras and will not stop until he feasts on them.
Yeah, I can't find it right now, but I'll locate it for the next one.
All right. Nah, because I thought what you had, I thought that's what you told me because you showed it to us.
Yeah.
And I thought that's what you were saying. But this is dope, man. It's all black and white.
Oh, go ahead.
Nah, I'm just saying it's like all black and white. Like, man, a really great comic, man. Just hella dope writing. And everything Behemoth is doing right now looks very interesting. So definitely look out for Behemoth comics.
Where the sepia joints are usually the best too. Like, especially if you're coming up and, you know, if you're used to like reading in a Kindle, like if you got like the old Kindle, like Paperwhite joint, you know what I'm saying?
Reading
like,
sepia.
Where anything that's a sepia is like super dope too, and it really brings out the inks as well. And like sometimes the expressions on the faces of the characters, because if you read color, sometimes it's easy to just, you know, get dazzled or to marvel at the colors. But then when you take the color away, it gets a little grimmer.
Right. Well, this is sepia. So sepia is like black and white, but it's almost like a little bit of a yellowish tint. Like
brownish too.
Yeah, a little brown.
It looks like old school pick.
Sepia.
That's how Red Room is. Red Room is sepia.
I understand. So the other joint is straight black and white like a manga.
Right.
Okay.
Crazy.
But yeah, we have Bunny Mask, which has been blowing up too.
Yeah, Bunny Mask is really is on fire right now.
Yeah, we definitely talked about it on a previous show. This is number 1. They got number 2 just finally dropped, and it's a new horror series from the creator of Eisner nominated Colder. Sealed in a cave before the dawn of man, released by a crazy madman, Bunny Mask walks our world once more. But for what dark purpose does she use her unnatural powers, and what's her connection to B. Foster, a young girl murdered by her father 14 years ago? In order to save his life and his sanity, one man will have to discover the truth of what waits behind the mask. Writer Paul Tobin and artist Andrea Miti unleash an eons old legend upon an unsuspecting world, one that will make your most horrific nightmare feel like a walk in the park. Life explodes around Tyler Severin as depictions of Bunny Mask begin eerily appearing in his life, even as the strange and deadly creature herself walks the earth once more. Meanwhile, as Tyler's relationships with B accelerates, he begins hearing the voice of Snitch whispering everyone's darkest secrets, forcing Tyler to question if Leo Foster, B's crazy father, was truly crazy after all, or simply the tormented holder of secrets no man should ever have to know. Each issue of Bunny Mask features 24 pages of story and art with a cardstock cover. Wow. Cerebral, yeah. Cerebral.
I'm gonna have to get on that. That's crazy.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot.
What number are they on? Are they double digits?
That's it. No, it's on.
That's number 2.
They're on issue 2.
Yeah, I'm gonna get on it. That's crazy.
What comic book is that?
That's called Bunny Mask, and it's from Aftershock Comics.
Oh, Aftershock is nuts, yo! They came out with this book, Lonely Receiver. Fire, yo! Yeah, they're a great publisher. I'm definitely gonna hop on that one.
Yeah,
that's a fact.
And shameless plug: these are all available on Instagram tonight.
Are you listening?
Yeah, I'm doing auctions, like live auctions. Like we go live on Instagram and then we just show the books. And if you want the book, you just type in the chat, claim out of body, right? And then after the auction's over, I'll DM you, tell you what, the total of the stuff you claimed, get your address, give you my PayPal, then you will send me the money PayPal, and the next day I go out and ship the comics to you.
Nice.
Great system. Yeah, it's really great, and it helps with shipping too, because like on eBay, every comic you order, even if you order them all from the same dude, you're paying a shipping cost on each and every comic, which is bullshit. with me, doing it this way, you might grab a stack of comics like this, but I'm gonna put all these in one Gemini mailer, and you're gonna get, pay one shipping instead of, 10. So it is definitely a way to save money, and you find a lot of interesting stuff, man. Like, it's a big community on Instagram, and like, I've got a small crew of people we call Madmen of Comics, and we always, do our little auctions together, and these guys got some amazing stuff. So yeah, definitely check that out. We try to do it. We try to go on live every night. So just go on Instagram and look for Sixth Element Comics.
Well, I'm not on Instagram, so I'm on Twitter.
I know I was never either. Stu just got on. It's something that I did because I was trying to help drive traffic to my YouTube. I didn't know I was gonna become a part of a community and get into a whole comic world that's on Instagram. That's not even on YouTube. Like, all these people on Instagram, they don't even be on YouTube. They just be on IG all day.
Right.
And it's a big community. Like, we talk comics, we sell, trade comics, and I'm talking about some of these guys got 20, 30,000 followers, and it's all people with comics in their name. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, that's how I met Pharaoh Monch.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on there kicking it with Pharaoh Monch because he got Marvel Legends figures and stuff that he's on videos. So it's a dope community. But nah, man, it's easy, man. Just go to Instagram, make a little profile, bro, and link up with us. That's all you got to do. I give you my name, and Stu, he just jumped on, and you just hop on there, look up our name, and you jump right in.
Yeah, I was like you, Grappa. I was like,
yeah.
Like, well, wait a minute. Like, when I got on there, I was like, yeah, they on there. They on there.
Yeah, been doing that in years. I don't have no real plans on getting on that joint. Like, to be honest.
I feel you. I wouldn't have if it wasn't for, trying to promote
what you're doing. Yeah, no doubt. Right. No doubt. I mean, if I had something to sell, yeah, I would be on it. I ain't got
right.
So
we also talked about this before.
Yeah, Out of Body. Yeah.
Out of Body. Remember that?
Out of Body's dope too.
Yep. So I'm gonna have this number 1 is gonna be up there, and Radiant Black is another one that we talked about. I got Radiant Black number 1, but they're on issue 5. And issue 5 for just the story itself, for fans of Invincible and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. This is an ongoing series from acclaimed writer Kyle Higgins and artist Marcello Costa that reinvents superheroes for a new generation. Nathan Burnett has just turned 30, and things aren't great. He's working and failing at 2 jobs. His credit card debt is piling up, and his only move is moving back home with his parents. But when Nathan discovers and unlocks the ethereal cosmic Radiant, he is given the power to radically change his fortunes. There's just one problem: the powers don't belong to him, and the cosmic beings who created them want them back by any means necessary. The first arc of Radiant Black ends here. Radiant Red is still out there. He needs to be stopped before anyone else gets hurt. But after the events of the last issue left Lockport and the world reeling, is Radiant Black up to the task? And will he be in this fight alone? So this is the end of Radiant Black. It was 1 through 5, and I guess issue 6 will be called Radiant Red or something like that.
That sounds.
Have y'all heard of this? Haha.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rings bells.
Yeah.
It's blowing up. You heard of Ice Cream Man?
Yeah, that rings. I read a couple of pages. It wasn't really my speed.
I haven't read any of them, but this is very popular, and I guess it's like some real, violent, like killer shit. Ice Cream Man writer W. Maxwell Prince brings his signature style of one-shot storytelling to the world of clowns, and he's invented some of the comic industry's best artists to join him for the ride. Haha is a genre-jumping, throat-lumping look at the sad, scary, hilarious life of those who get paid to play the fool, but these aren't your typical jokers. With issues drawn by Vanessa Del Rey, blah blah blah, and more, haha peeks under the big top, over the rainbow, and even inside a balloon to tell a wide-ranging slew of stories about funny men and women, proving that some things are so sad you just have to laugh. It doesn't really, by reading that, it makes me think that it's just like about clowns or the life of being a clown.
Is it an anthology?
But Well, that's what it kind of seems like based on that, what they just said there. But from what I heard, this was like on some serial killer violence.
Yeah, that's what I would think you would. If anybody doing anything about clowns,
Yeah.
you make them. Yeah, you make them. Yeah, see, yeah, you make them killer clown.
Yeah, you just immediately think of John Wayne Gacy, man.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I think of.
Fellas, I gotta sign off here.
Yeah, 7:30.
Yeah. I gotta sign off 7:30. I gotta get ready. Start getting ready for work, man. Things like that.
All right, brother.
Great having y'all.
Before you go.
Salutations, Stu.
Before you go, I just remember Conan.
Yeah.
Got to 8-2.
Barbaric.
This is an homage to that first Conan issue, and this is Barbaric #1. This is a dope book. This is a fantasy action buddy comedy with its own sense of morality, but plenty of killing. It's Conan the Barbarian meets Tango and Cash.
That's dope. Yeah, I definitely got to check. I've seen that in the comic book store. I definitely got to check that out.
Owen the Barbarian has been enjoying his life, drinking, fighting, and until the day he was cursed by 3 witches, forced to do good. Owen is aided in his quest by a sarcastic talking axe, who becomes drunk on the blood of those deemed worthy of punishment. So he's got like this sort of living axe that thirsts for the blood of, his victims. But yeah, it's hella dope.
That's crazy. That sounds
like the Black Knight, but like funny instead of pitiful.
Yeah, it's but way more violent than Marvel is willing to do. You know what I mean? Like that's one great thing about indies, man. They're not handcuffed by or censored by that big corporate.
So Marvel is limited on violence?
Well, not. It's like Marvel is owned by Disney. I mean, it's
say less.
Yeah, it's only but so much. Yeah, it's only but so much.
They can't go super heavy with the blood and guts and.
Yeah, they done turned them into butter cookies, man.
Right. Right. And this is last one here is Nice House on the Lake #2. If you guys remember Nice House on the Lake #1, it was going somewhere hella dope that I couldn't wait to see. And so I haven't read this yet, but I can't wait to read it. Book 1 is amazing and leaves you on a real cliffhanger. The first issue of James Tynion and Alverno Martinez Bueno's The Nice House on the Lake set up the end of the world scenario with a huge cast and a mysterious host all at the center of it, all of them weathering the apocalypse inside a well-stocked house. The people who were spared the final moments of human existence are all in shock come issue 2 of the series. They're in a mad scramble for answers. So this guy, he reached out to however many 5 or 6 people and said, made them think it was a job interview or whatever he did to get them to come to this house. So when they come into the house, it locks down and he shows them on cameras and footage and the news and everything, how the whole world is just, the end of the world is happening. Everyone's being just killed. Everyone's just blowing up or whatever. And they're all safe inside this house, but they don't know why he chose them. And that's kind of how issue 1 ended. Issue 2 puts the cast of characters through the ringer as they try to make some sense of how the world just decided to self-combust and melt almost everyone not in the house with them. Emotions run high and there's a sense of disconnection among the guests. Reality as they knew it just stopped, and anything that comes from the event is now going to be post-apocalyptic, not an easy realization to come to. They employ a few different techniques to the storytelling here to shake things up while also building the world their characters inhabit. For instance, the comic contains several pages that unravel as an official log of things said during certain moments immediately after the world seemingly ended. This presents the possibility some kind of secret group or organization is behind it all, perhaps torturing or experimenting with the people at the house for reasons unknown. This is one of the series' strong suits, guiding readers to make dark assumptions on what actually is happening. In a sense, the horror on display in the comic is being driven by elements more commonly found in the mystery genre. There's a bit of whodunit at play here, and it helps helps make makes the comic an even richer and more complex mystery box in the process. So definitely recommend Nice House on the Lake.
It sounds a lot like 10 Cloverfield Lane mixed with the Twilight Zone.
Yep.
That's the vibes that I'm getting.
Yeah. Yep. That was dope too. 10 Cloverfield Lane with your boy Dan Connor and shit.
Yeah, it was. It was.
John Goodman in that joint.
John Goodman, yeah.
Inspired.
Hell yeah. So Stu, you gotta go. I don't want to keep you. But who said something? Oh, all right, brother. We're gonna wrap it up. Hold on. Someone in the chat said, "What do y'all think about the Evil Lynn show?" So this is not a video. Easier on the
The Evil Lynn and Tila show.
The Evil Lynn and Tila show. Yeah, you missed it, brother. What happened?
No, I heard that joint ain't even about He-Man.
Yeah, we were just talking about it. It's about He-Man, but the star character is Tila because He-Man got killed and she's trying to save him and bring him back. And so He-Man's all through it, with flashbacks and whatnot. And in the end,
again, hang on. Again, even with Skeletor, when Tila was doing her whole traveling through Necropolis arc, and then the fear specter basically transformed into what she fears the most, which would be He-Man. A lot of feminism again teaches modern day women to be scared of men. So there you go again. You see what I'm saying? Like Tila is scared of He-Man. What were you going to say?
Nah, you said it, brother. They pumped the hidden agenda into that show, man.
Word. Throughout the whole joint. Like, yo, when Orko dies, why does Tila grab up Orko's bandana? This felt like I was watching a Blumhouse film where it's a bunch of girls and they get abused by men somehow, some way, and then every single protagonist and antagonist that's a male dies around the main female protagonist. Which is why I can't stand them Blumhouse flicks. Like, there ain't no way in hell I'm gonna be seeing that Halloween, whatever.
But what did you mean about the bandana? What did you mean about the bandana?
Oh, when Orko died, when he was fending off Skeletor,
right?
Orko's bandana flew off, and then it flew into Tila's hand.
Right.
Man of Arms crying like a little bitch.
Man of Arms was kicking ass, bro. Man of Arms was hard.
He handed down his mantle to Tila at the beginning of the film, and it was crying like a little bitch, hugging her like, "Oh, I want you to, I want to protect you because I'm your father, but you're a grown ass woman." You know what I'm saying? She could obviously handle herself.
I know you don't have kids, bro. I know you don't have kids, but I don't care how old your kids get; they're still your baby. It don't matter that she's a grown woman; that's still his baby. No,
I don't know that. You know what I mean? I grew up in the foster system out of Cali. So I don't know about none of that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like, yo, like she's a grown woman. Oh, go ahead. She's a grown woman. Pass down the mantle. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, Tila was, she was she's like a sleeper agent in that film. You know what I'm saying? Trying to push a feminist agenda.
Like I'm the first one against all that SJW woke women bullshit. What they did to Luke Skywalker was atrocious. Like they tried to make him, just some crazy hermit, took all his power. Like Luke Skywalker is like the most powerful, cat in the galaxy at that time. Based on all the legends and all of that, which is why they tried to make legends not canon no more, because it would have made Luke the man. So, but in this movie, and in this, I don't feel like they emasculated He-Man. He was still the dude with the power. Tila never picked up the sword and said, "I have the power." She did not. They didn't
have to emasculate him.
In fact, she went to pick it up, and they were like, "Nah."
They just killed him off repeatedly to let you know, like, yo, the man is not going to stand here. So let's just make sure the axe comes on his head every single time he thinks that he could go and be the man again, be He-Man again.
Like you said, it should have been a movie.
Divine feminine, man. That energy. And it's just crazy how they do it, man. They do it on so many levels, like in cartoons, in real television, in books, in films. It's constantly being pushed at us. You know what I mean? This you know, just the taking away the tradition, you know what I mean, of the man first, you know, king, queen, you know what I mean?
LGBTQ agenda and transgender and all of that, you know,
Yo,
and
I just recently did a review on a shout out to Almega. I just recently did a review on a Comic Crusaders about Escape Room, and they had one of the main characters. She had like she was like real funny. Well, the let me see, the actress was real funny. Man, I go and I find out the only thing that this actress was famous for was just LGBTQ rights because this individual was a male prior to a sex change. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like I was like, yo, like this person was like a transgender individual. And I'm just I you know, I know this is I know this is like hip hop and comics, but you know, it interests me. It's like, okay, like this is a transgender individual, and I'm just like, I didn't know that this was a transgender individual. Like, should there be a, you know what I'm saying? Like, shouldn't there be like a, you know what I mean? Like, shouldn't I be told? You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm gonna watch a match, like let me see, like the Fallon Fox versus Jones, there was like a big match, a big MMA match, and the transgender individual Fallon Fox won the match, but it was billed as a woman versus woman match.
Yeah, now see that shit is bullshit. They're doing that in the Olympics too. They're letting men that are so-called transgender women compete against women. Now, I don't care if you take estrogen and hormones and cut your dick off and all of that. Your bones are still denser than a female's. Like men's bodies are just more, they're just bigger. They're just denser. You can't compete. That's why there's weight classes in fighting. That's why there's men's NBA and women's NBA.
And again, like, yes, sir. And again, that was a transgender individual on the screen. But I thought that was a female. So it's just like, okay, like, you know what I mean? This person only was famous just because of LGBTQ rights. And she was in her past film that she was in was Queen and Slim, which is a film about which is a film that exploits the Afrocentric plight in America. Yeah. So it seems like she's a what do you call? Well, this individual is a career activist basically, except as an
Wait, was she the lead in that movie?
No, she wasn't the lead. She was the sub lead. So you know the lead. What's her name? I forget her name, but I bigged her up. Like again, y'all check out my review on Comic Crusaders and everything on Escape Room under the CBR the Bard. But you know, she was dope. And she's a natural female, but this other person was billed as like she was one of the last Scream Queens, if you will. You know what I'm saying? Like one of the final girls. Right. And you know, this person was a male. So I'm just like, yo, you know what I mean? That it like tripped me out a little bit. I was like, damn, like, because if I ran into this person at a club or something, you know what I'm saying? I'll be trying to game up. You know what I mean? I would try to game this individual up. And then when I hear that voice, I'm gonna be like, oh, okay. It's nice to meet you. You know what I'm saying? Peace.
Man, some of them, the voices don't even be masculine, bro. Have you seen the show The Chi?
Yeah. No, I have not. I heard it was good.
I've been watching The Chi since it started, but they got this transgender character, you know, Grap, right?
Yeah.
If she was just in the street, like you might not know at first. Just because her voice is kind of high or mannerisms, the way she act, like it's really like you would think it's
really well taken care of. She did all the stuff. Like he did all the stuff.
Yeah, he did all the stuff, the hormones, all of that. He's
thorough with it. Like he
definitely. It brings me right back, gentlemen, to where
if you look long enough, you'll see that it's a dude. You'll see it.
Yeah, and if you knew it and you look at it, then it's like, oh, okay. But I don't know what they're trying to do with that character. Like the dude that's supposed to be her old man or whatever is supposed to be just a regular straight, you know, guy that's not gay or nothing. Right. But come on, is it?
I heard that. Realistic? You remember Reg, right? That was on there. The character Reg,
right?
The dude that played him, I heard he didn't want to. That was supposed to be his next girl in the next season or whatever. He was supposed to take up with that chick. Right, and he didn't want to do it, so they got him off the show.
Killed him and
my man came and was like, "I'll do it" or whatever. And he got the role.
Yeah. And that's the type of shit that with Joss Whedon, and if a female got pregnant on his set, or like Buffy or some shit, you know what I'm saying, or Scarlett Johansson getting pregnant on an Avengers film, and he decides to cut her out when he was doing the Avengers, they throw all the flack on him. But apparently, because it's a LGBTQ thing, if that's a slides, that guy could go and get a pay cut basically and lose his job, and nobody's tripping over that.
Yeah.
You see, that's it's very hypocritical. You know what I mean?
It is. I mean, they are very hypocritical.
And with this situation, I'm like, shouldn't shout out to Necro Hip Hop on Instagram and everything. One of my top 5, well, one of my top 10 MCs, definitely one of my top 3 producers and DJs in hip hop. He was over there posing the question when it came down to the Sports Illustrated cover. Should transgenders have something to identify themselves that they are transgender when they're up in these streets? And if they decide to, have coitus with a person and, court a person or whatever, if a person decides to court them, should they by law be required to let their sexual identity be known?
For their own safety. Because there's dudes out here that will kill them.
Yes.
That's a fact. Because I was up at the store and I was having this conversation with a female, and I was like, yo, like that's basically, it's rape basically if I ended up sleeping with a transgender and I didn't know this person was transgender. That's rape. Okay. It would be a sexual what's the word for it? Not sexual harassment, but when you get sexually violated. I will have been violated if I slept with a transgender and I didn't know that person was transgender. So
imagine how they would feel if a straight man.
But see, on your side, they wouldn't look at it as a violation. Maybe she just they'll find some way to make it your fault. They'll make it. They'll find some way to put it on you. Oh no,
they would, but it's a sex offense. I'd be offended sexually.
But listen, Sever, what he's saying is that in their eyes, you'd be the bad guy for having a problem. They don't
protect heterosexual men.
You'd be the bad guy for having a problem with it.
Yep.
You'd be the homophobic
guy for having the issue with it. And that's only, and I totally agree. Like you should disclose that to a person so that they have the option to say, well, okay, I'll still pursue you, or nah, that's not my cup of tea. I'm going to head out of here. Nice to meet you.
Because at the end of
everybody don't leave this, everybody doesn't walk away from it like that. Right. But you still need to put that out there.
Definitely.
It's just like if an individual has STD or HIV or any autoimmune disorder from sex, they should be required by law to disclose that information.
Yeah.
Because it's important, you know what I mean?
The person they're gonna deal with
other people being raised. You know what I'm saying?
The person you're gonna be intimate with, man. Gosh, that's common respect. But
because like this is right. If you care about the person, ain't you supposed to be honest with them and all of that?
Common respect, man. So.
Right. And like Joshua Kuhn says, the woke crowd believe men can't be sexually assaulted. That's how they believe men can't be sexually assaulted. That don't make any sense. Yeah, of course that's bullshit. But it's very hypocritical because if a straight man, like, I don't know, dressed up as a chick to get into the ladies' locker room, wouldn't that be offensive? You know what I mean? So how is that different from a man dressing up as a woman to try and get a dude? Because at the end of the day, you are not a man or you are not a woman. You are a person that had a mental issue that made you want to be one of those things and go through drastic surgeries and drugs and all kinds of shit to change your body to appear more like that thing that you mentally identify with. But at the end of the day, you are not that. You can't have kids, if you're a woman or whatever. So you have to disclose that to somebody because you can do all the rights and equality and all of that you want. But at the end of the day, a straight man is not going to be down with that.
That's big facts. I had to change the wording in the review. I was like, because originally I thought it was just I thought this person was just playing an IG model. Now I found out this person, their only claim to fame is just transgender rights. So I had to put transgender in the back of everything when I revised the review because I'm like, this isn't a natural female actress. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I can't really identify that person as a she or a her. You know what I'm saying? Transgender individual.
And with shows like He-Man when it was coming out, and everybody, kind of knew or thought they knew what it was going to be like. It was already written. Like it didn't matter that when the show came out, they didn't really do He-Man like they did Luke Skywalker. They didn't emasculate him. They didn't make him worthless or none of that. Like the whole thing was about your champion back. They had to. They trying to get their champion back. That was the whole thing. Was they were trying to get He-Man back.
But he came back and then he died. They're gonna make a new champion. That new champion is gonna be Tila.
He came back, and I think one of the coolest things about that show was putting that spear through He-Man's back, because you never saw nothing happen like that on He-Man before. You never saw nobody kill He-Man. Like, that's crazy.
But we saw it like an hour and a half prior.
He-Man start dying. Like, what?
Yeah, that never happened before.
We saw it at the beginning of the film. It did happen.
It wasn't the same, though. It wasn't the same.
But he still died 2 times. At the beginning and the end, the circle is closed. The next champion is going to be Tila. They're going to push that feminist agenda.
They're not going to do that, bro.
Next
season, look at what's going to happen with Black Panther 2.
Where they're going to have Shuri. Now that I respect. That I respect, because in the comics, when I came up, started reading comics, or when I started like buying them when I'm like 11 or something, 2008, 2009, they had the Secret Invasion joints, and Shuri was Shuri was Black Panther. So I was like, oh, okay, this is canon. I can rock with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But I don't think He-Man is dead. I don't think he's gonna not be in this. I mean, in the second season, it's gonna be according to Kevin Smith, in the second season, you're gonna see that it is about He-Man. And like you said, it should have been a film. It should have been a small film, and then the second film should either come, right after it or whatever, so that we could see the whole story before jumping to the conclusions. Because everyone jumped to a conclusion, and then when the show came out and it wasn't exactly as bad as they thought it was gonna be, nobody wanted to go back and say, hey, I was a little bit wrong. I have no problem doing that. I'm the first one to speak out against that bullshit woke agenda shit. Like, I was a big, activist, I guess, about Star Wars and all of that. So I was saying the same thing about this. But honestly, when I watched this show, the He-Man show, it didn't seem to me like it was that far, left that I thought it was going to be. And so I have no problem saying that. And I think a lot of people are just, they don't want to go back on their word. So the critic, but if you look at, Rotten Tomatoes and all of that to see what the critics say, it's very mixed.
Well, Rotten Tomatoes is actually very biased. As a matter of fact, they have a little meter on there. I have a lot of reviews on Rotten Tomatoes as well under the CVR to bar for y'all to look in. And they started to have something called a toxicity meter, which is I would write as well for the source as well too, the Bible of hip hop before Benzino took over back in the 2000s, and it went to shit after who owns it now. But I'd write the reviews and everything like that, and these sites now have toxicity meters. So if it's like 80% toxic, or basically just not going with what the woke agenda is, they will bar your review and it will not be published. So Rotten Tomatoes is very skewed and very biased on how they review their things. It's a very left.
I was gonna say, do you think they're politically like left?
Yes, sir. It's just like the college system. straight up, just like the college system.
Wow. That's great. Speaking of college, fellas, I gotta bounce because I gotta help my daughter get something together for college, this form.
Yeah. It's 8 o'clock, man. I was gonna wrap it up anyway. I was just hanging on because you came here. You rarely ever come through, Grab, so we let her have you.
No doubt. I gotta try to make my way more often. I just be doing so many different things, man.
I feel you, bro. I understand completely. But I'll always shoot you that email. So anytime Mondays or Wednesday, you're gonna have the email, so you can always pop in if you can. So I appreciate you, bro. And Sever, thank you for coming. Stu Dog is gone already. Thank you, brother, and everybody that's in the chat right now and was watching the show. Salute to y'all. Thank y'all for coming. We will be back
to the chat.
Absolutely. Peace and blessings. We'll be back Monday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for hip hop and comics. And y'all can catch me tonight on Instagram live, selling comic books and talking comics and having a good time.
That's what it is. CVR, salute. Reno, salute. Respect,
salute, brother. Salute.
Yes,
hang out for 1 second, bro.
All right.
Peace.